This is the Mickey Miles and More podcast, your one stop for information on Disney races, Disney vacations, Disney theme parks, and more. Now, here are your hosts for the Mickey Miles and More podcast, Michelle Scribner-McLean, Chris Eliopoulos, and Mike Scopa.
Welcome back, Milers. I'm your host, Chris Eliopoulos. Along with me today is my good friend, Michelle Scribner-McLean. Michelle, how we doing? I'm going quick now. We're moving.
I'm fine. How are you? Great.
I'm good. You have a shout out to anybody?
We're not having tech problems. Not us.
No tech problems, not us.
No. Yes, we have new subscribers. Yay! Thank you for subscribing. Joni Anderson, Tyler Ross in Westchester Township. The whole township has subscribed.
Wow. That's big numbers.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. Very exciting. And I'm here. Do you know where I am? What Pixar movie this is?
A Bug's Life, of course.
Yes, I'm Click today.
Well, also with us having some technical issues, moving his camera around, checking things out. No background today. Don't put the background on. Is my good friend Mike Scopa. How's it going, Michael?
But enough of this chit-chat, yak-yak, and flim-flam.
Oh, Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh, yeah. I guess you got it.
Hey, don't be so disappointed.
In your face.
Oh, well.
First one. We're the
Wow.
Blues and Streamers.
Confetti comes down.
No more Country Bear Jamboree. Okay. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Michael. And so,
Privacy
as you
around
can
this
see on
area.
your screen right over there is our good friend Beci Mahnken from MEI-Mouse Fan Travel.
Hi.
Welcome, Becky. It's so good
Thank
to see
you.
Yay.
I'm so happy to be. You have no idea. I feel like I'm in another version of the Brady Bunch, though. It's like, hey, hey. This is kind of cool. And it does fit because I don't know about you guys, but I really need a haircut. I'm still in that. We still can't do that until this weekend. And my husband has the Carol Blady flip going on in the back of his head. So no, I did not cut his hair. I'm just saying. So
I know. My kids have let their hair grow. They're getting all shaggy. My one son grew out a beard. It's getting crazy. So, but anyway, so we brought Becky on today because we want to talk about an unsung hero, the travel agent. So in this time, obviously with Disney and Universal going down for a while, Universal's back up in Florida. But with Disney being down, we wanted to talk to Becky about what she's been dealing with in terms of her business and the cancellations and what she thinks about the future.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Becky a little bit today about what it's like to be a travel agent in these times. So Becky,
yeah.
how did you lose your, that's what it's like. That's exactly what it's like.
We have hours, right? We have
Good
hours.
night, folks.
Yeah.
This is you guys set this up as being a therapy session for me, right?
This is where you can vent and share your feelings about this whole thing.
How's your new job at the car dealership?
Yeah, exactly. Anybody want to buy a travel agency right now?
No.
No, I will be completely honest. This has been challenging, and I have been working with Disney and being in the travel industry now for, it's going on 21 years this year. Ooh, yeah, I know. And in that time, I've seen a lot. When I first started, within a couple of years in, I experienced the 9/11 scenario in travel, which, of course, that was devastating. And it stopped people from flying, and it stopped people from being able to travel, and it stopped for that fear. Everybody had fear of leaving their homes for a while, but that was about 3 weeks worth. So we got through it. We figured it out. We got back to what our new normal was. And while I don't really like the word new normal, it's the closest thing I can use to explain how it felt at the time, because things changed. We ended up having to not have our loved ones walk us to the gate at the airport anymore. And security became so much different. So that's the only thing that I can actually equate to what we're going through now, for the exception of this, is a lot more complicated, and it doesn't have an ending in sight, and you are somewhat in limbo. So when this first happened, I was at home. I had just got back from doing a group cruise on the Disney Wonder, and then I was at the press event for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Right.
Home on March 6th, and I was getting ready to leave again because I was doing a big event with a partner down in Disneyland. The night before I was supposed to get on the plane, we got information that Disneyland was going to be closing. So that's when it all began. And when you're talking about being in the travel industry right now, it really shows the dedication that the travel advisors have to their clientele. I've always kind of said that our job is almost like a flight attendant, because during normal times, you can go up and down the aisle and you can hand out the peanuts and you can book people to go on vacations and you can send thank you notes afterwards and you can help them book the next vacation and figure out what hotel they want to stay at. But our true value is of having people like us to have your back is when there's an emergency. And the past 3.5 months now have truly proven that. And for the Disney fan, in the past 48 hours, during the times of working out what's going to happen if your resort is closed versus how are you going to work this new park reservation system, in the 6-hour hold times and the 9-hour hold times and the things that people are experiencing right now, the travel agents are doing for them. And to add another layer, and this isn't to say, please feel sorry for us, because this is not what this is meant at all, but just to show and illustrate the dedication that the travel advisors have to their clientele. Most travel advisors aren't actually paid until a client travels. So all the work that's being done between March and now to reschedule people, sometimes 3, 4, and 5 times, because there were people who were scheduled on cruises in March that ended up rescheduling for June, thinking they could do that, then rescheduling for July and rescheduling for September. And each time that date has been moved, we have to do the work to cancel it, rebook it, and get people set on the next sailing. So that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of during this time, is that, especially with my team, and I know that this is true of many travel agencies that are out there right now doing this hard work. My team has been doing nothing but be on phones, taking care of clients, and coming back and being really happy at the end of their day, because they know that they were able to help make a little magic for somebody. And while we're not getting paychecks right now in the general sense, we know that they're going to come later. But it really does kind of feed the soul to know that yesterday, while I got to hold for 6.5 hours, my clients didn't have to. They got to go and figure out and think about what parks they want to visit in August of 2021, because it's all open right now to be able to do. So I think that there's a huge sense of pride for many of us that we have really held up to that expectation of of the benefits of working with the travel planner can have during these times.
Yeah. Mike, go ahead. Give me your questions, Mike.
So Becky, I think I've known you longer than everybody, and one of the things that your agency has always been is very transparent to the clients, very honest, giving them the type of information, the type of advice that, quite frankly, always brings them back to that agent, to your agency. So having said that, one of the things that I've had discussions with Chris and Michelle and a few other people is that if I was a travel agent, I'm not sure if I would recommend thinking about any type of trip this year, because there were so many unknowns. And I was just wondering, did that ever cross your mind to say to your agents, be honest with your clients and let them know how you feel about, let's say, rebooking from, let's say, May to June or June to September? Or should you just say, let's book, but, be aware that things could change? I was just wondering if that thought process went through your mind.
Absolutely, from the very beginning, because this is not just a normal situation. This is a serious situation with this virus out there, and for some people who have compromised immune systems or have other underlying conditions, it could be deadly. So this decision process needs to be a personal one. We've counseled people to say, really think about this, and especially when we're talking about the Disney realm. You're going to spend a lot of money to go to Disney, right? And we know that the current situation isn't going to be a typical one. We know that when you go in August, there's not going to be a parade. There's not going to be fireworks. For that young couple who has a 4-year-old daughter to go for the first time, and they envision watching their daughter run up to Cinderella and hugging her, that's not going to be possible at this point. So if going to Disney World or Disneyland is a once in an every while situation for you, and it's going to be a lot of money, you might want to consider waiting until next year, until things get back to the normal experience. For those who are local or close or are AP holders and go several times a year, the flip side of that is that it's a unique experience. While it's going to be different and things aren't going to be available to us, it might be kind of interesting to be there during this time to see the lower crowds, or to see how quickly Disney adapts to this unique situation. So it does have a draw too for some Disney fans. So to your point, it's really important to talk to people about all of those little differences, and if it's going to make a difference in their experience or not. But the point for them is, or for us, is to say, here are the pros and cons, but you need to decide. So that's the process at this point. Same thing with cruises.
Wow, cruises, that's another story.
Talking about cruises, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and Chris, mute. You need to mute it.
We're not going to talk about cruises.
So first of all, I went on a 10-day cruise last August, and I'm reliving it every day, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so happy I went on that cruise last year. But I planned another one in July, and I have to say, a big shout out to Mandy, who's one of our travel agents, who not only, we didn't even have to ask what was going on. She just would text us and say, this is what's going on. This is the day you're going to find out. This is what might happen. What ended up happening was the cruise was canceled, but we got 125% on another cruise. So we're going on a longer cruise next year. So that's wonderful. So it was just everything that you said. It was really, really great.
Yeah. Mandy's been with me for years, and I adore her.
Yeah, and she just loves Disney, and it just makes it really fun to plan with her. But part of the decision to plan a trip next year was the idea that for Mandy, that it would give maybe her commission, that she wouldn't lose her commission, and because it is all paid off. I know we haven't traveled yet, but so it got me to thinking about what advice would you give people who want to support travel agents in terms of beyond patience and things like that. How can we help our travel agents who have become our friends and sometimes our family too? What could we do?
Book with us. Number one, because so many people think, oh, I'm just going to do a room only, and I'm going to only be there for 3 nights, so I'm not going to bother her with that. No, please bother us with that. Every single booking counts for us right now. It's important to know that we have a stable business that's going to be in front of us when you do travel. Many of us are just trying to do everything we can right now to cut expenses and to function to get us through to the other side. I'm happy to say that 2021 is looking really, really positive for us, but that's in another 6 months. So we kind of need to get from here to there. And if we know that there's that proverbial pot at the end of the rainbow of 2021, it's going to really help us to make it through what's going to be some trying times. Tell your friends, tell your family that travel planners are here to help you. And most of us, not all, but most of us do not charge any fees whatsoever. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think that you pay more to use our services, when in fact, you're going to pay the exact same if you book direct, or less in many circumstances, because we do also give our appreciation in different ways, or we find offer codes that you may not be aware of. Or when we find those offer codes when they come out, we call in and apply them for you proactively, rather than you have to wait to find if they're there and then have to sit on hold for an hour or 2 hours to get it applied. Because I can guarantee you, when we apply an offer, which I know you guys have all experienced this for my agency, we text you and say, hey, guess what? A new offer just came out and we just applied it, and you save X number of hundreds of dollars. And then we get the yay back, which is always so great.
Yay.
Disney's not going to call you and say, hey, guess what? We have an offer to apply. So for us, I think the number one thing you can do is keep up communication so that we're aware of the things that you need, you want. So if new offers come out, like for example, you were talking on a cruise, it could be that they might have some sales on higher cabin categories because they're trying to fill the ships as everything reboots. So you might want to have a conversation with Mandy and just say, hey, if you notice that balconies are, if you're in Ocean View and a balcony
Let me get
is
this right.
is within $500 more, just book it for me, so that she knows and then she can grab it if something comes out. But I think the biggest thing is just please use a travel agent, because the industry needs to survive. A lot of agencies out there are struggling. A lot won't survive the next 6 months unless they have something to look forward to on the other side of this tunnel.
Yeah, so Becky, I'm not to hog your time, but I just want to follow up because this is my ignorance. I would have thought I didn't want to bother my travel agent because of these hold times and everything that we're seeing beyond the summer. But you're saying absolutely not, that if we're planning, because I mean, I'm saving a lot of money right now and I'm planning on spending a lot of it on vacation. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm just working over the summer and, putting all the money into my vacation account. So if I'm thinking next summer, boy, I'm going to extend that cruise and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, I should do it now. And that's okay. It wouldn't be like bothering you or
no,
okay.
Absolutely. You might get somebody that says, hey, I'm happy to check that out for you, but 2021 just released for Disney World. Is it okay if I get back to you in a couple of days? We want to hear it. We want that communication. This industry is about one thing, and it's not travel. It's about relationships. And you can't have that relationship unless you're in communication. So it's not a bother. I mean, I've had a couple of people come out and say, I just want to go down for 2 days. I want to stay at, one of the moderate resorts. Is it okay if I use you? It's like, please use me, because every single
that's a great message to get out.
Yeah. Every single one of those bookings matters to us, especially right now.
Well, I'm going to do the ad read, as it were, because I was one of those people that was just I was like, what do I need a travel agent? I know how to go onto Disney and go onto their website and book something. And what I discovered, which is what you're talking about, is that travel agents are there for the good stuff, to book everything, but you need them when things go bad. Yeah. And Becky has been there for me when things went bad, like, somehow we didn't get a reservation or they got the wrong room or something like that. I didn't have to struggle in the middle of a lobby, while my kids were screaming. I just sent Becky a message and things were taken care of. So this is the worst time when you really need a travel agent and when nobody really knows what's going on. How much of your work is spent researching and finding out what the hell's going on with this? Because there's so many changes. Like the other day we were texting and you said, I'm trying to figure out the new reservation system. So like, I don't have to worry about it. You're going to tell me what to do later on. How much of this stuff of your time right now is spent trying to figure out what's going to happen and what is happening?
Well, this week is unique, clearly, because everything we've always known about booking a Disney vacation is flipped on its head. So Monday, when they said, guess what? Woohoo, new reservation system is coming and this is what you need to know. It was a huge learning curve just to pull it all together. Now, once a user goes out and uses it, it's pretty much like butter. But at the very beginning, there were tons of glitches. And there's also new rules, like what happens if you're an AP holder that also has a resort reservation? Do you only get 3 reservations, or what? How does that work? So you have to kind of dive in and say, all right, these are all of the holes I can possibly see in this plan. And you communicate with Disney and say, what happens in this case, or in this case, or in this case? And it took, probably the first 3 hours of the morning when everything kind of turned on. We were doing it real time. So it was like real time training, finding the things that were going wrong, finding the glitches. And there were glitches that the next day they would roll out a patch, and the next morning everything was fine again. So they're still kind of, rolling out a new system. And having worked with Disney as long as I have wonderful contacts internally. So they have been so supportive of giving us information as we've needed it. That has been extraordinarily helpful too. So this week being very unique, I would say 50% of my time has been spent trying to just get information or find out what's correct, because we all know that the internet's out there and it lights itself on fire every once in a while with a lot of misinformation. Like I had one poor gentleman who thought that he'd read on the internet that for those who had closed resorts in 2020, we had to move them to open resorts. And therefore that was a whole nother piece of time that we had to spend to find out how that was going to work. If you're booked at Art of Animation, but that's not open in July, how do we get them moved to the right resort? And is there going to be room? And do we have to go fast? One gentleman had read that if you call Disney, they will charge you. If you wait for them to call you, it's free. And I was like, no, that's not correct. But I literally had to ask the question because I didn't want to assume and give him wrong information. Yeah. So that was, that type of thing has happened during this crazy new Disney experience.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I don't know how you guys are doing it. For me, I'd be losing my mind. And that's why I make sure that you do it. I was lucky enough. I had a trip planned in August, and we kind of basically moved it up a year. Has that sort of been the answer lately? Like maybe we should just move your dates, or have you been hoping, crossing those fingers that things are gonna start picking up and we're gonna send people down?
Well, again, it's an individual conversation. So for some people, it's been moving from July into September. For those who were thinking about that, but at this point, obviously, that's not possible because they have shut down all opportunity to book hotels or to get tickets in 2020. So the majority that we're dealing with now, since that started, has been to move into 2021. So we've had a lot of people though that decided, nope, come heck or high water, I am going to Disney, and that's okay. I'm all right with people who know what the risk that they want to take upon themselves. Again, it's their choice, however they want to do it. So some people are going and they're going to go experience it. Others are like, I think for me and my family, it's probably best that we just move it to the same time next year. I had one that was supposed to go in July, but by the time they had figured out the glitch with the tickets, he wasn't able to go to the park he wanted to on the day he wanted to. And so he just moved to spring break instead. So again, it comes down to the individual situation.
Extra logistics on everything, right?
Exactly.
So what do you say, Becky? Do you want to come back for another little talk? Because I want to talk a little bit more positive. I want to talk about the upcoming anniversary year, what we think about coming up, what your thoughts are on booking now versus later, and that kind of stuff. You feel like coming back and saying some few words?
I would come back and talk to you anytime you want me. I will just sit here for a while and tell me when you want me to start talking again.
Very good. So, all right. So Becky will be back on the next show. So on behalf of Michelle Scribner-McLean, Mike Scopa, and Beci Mahnken, please hit a subscribe button if I can say it. And we'll see you on the next show.